So in Battle Analysis, we are getting closer to a battle with a really unique backstory, one that doesn't see the Separatists versus the Republic, but instead the Separatists versus the independent factions of Dathomir. So I figured today we could cover the background necessary to understand the context of the Battle of Dathomir. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. Now, before we get into this, I want to just throw out there that we will not actually be talking about the Battle of Dathomir itself. That'll be covered in a battle analysis video later this week. So if you want to check that out, remember to subscribe to this channel. But today we're going to be focused more on the events that led up to the battle and what actually caused the showdown between the Confederacy of Independent Systems and the Night Sisters of Dathomir. So to understand this, we have to understand the complex relationship between the CIS, the Sith, and the Night Sisters. For a long time, the Sith leadership, and most notably the current Sith lords, Darth Sidious and Darth Tyrannus, Palpatine and Count Dooku, had turned to Dathomir for a source of muscle and Sith apprentices. Before the Battle of Naboo, Darth Sidious had actually ventured to Dathomir to sort of adopt Darth Maul as his apprentice. At around the same time, a Dathomiri was actually kidnapped. This Dathomiri would eventually go on to be adopted by the Jedi and become Asajj Ventress, a powerful Force user who was trained not by the Night Sisters of Dathomir, who had a strong connection to the Force themselves, but by a Jedi Knight who was trained in the Jedi arts. These sort of more conventional Force tactics were handed down to Asajj, who later fell to the dark side after her master was killed and would eventually be adopted by Count Dooku as his own apprentice. Meanwhile, on Dathomir, the reigning matriarchal faction, the Night Sisters, remained in control of the planet. Most other factions on the planet would end up subservient to the Night Sisters, who were most notable for practicing dark sides of the Force in the form of magic. And this is how things were at the start of the Clone Wars, with the Night Sisters on Dathomir being an independent faction, not under the control of either major sort of political faction in the galaxy, the Republic or the CIS. Meanwhile, one of their own, Asajj Ventress, was serving under Count Dooku as his apprentice, who himself was apprenticed to Darth Sidious, more commonly known as Chancellor Palpatine. While Separatist naval forces under the command of Asajj Ventress were in the thick of battle with the Republic during the Battle of Sullust, Count Dooku was contacted by Darth Sidious, who expressed his concerns about Asajj's power, and ordered Count Dooku to betray his apprentice, which he ultimately did. The droid forces during the Battle of Sullust were ordered to withdraw, leaving Asajj aboard a stricken vessel to face off the oncoming Republic onslaught with no droid support, expecting her to die. However, Asajj, being capable in her own defense, was able to escape the situation and make her way back to Dathomir, where she appealed to her original people, the leaders of the Night Sisters, who ultimately took her in as their own and began concocting a plot to attempt to assassinate Count Dooku, who she had believed had betrayed her, which was, in fact, correct. This led to an assassination attempt where Night Sister magic was used to carry out an attack against Count Dooku. Count Dooku, however, was immediately familiar with the source of this attack and began planning his retaliation. Knowing that Count Dooku would not take this failed assassination attempt lightly, the forces of Dathomir began preparing for battle, and that leads us right up to the Battle of Dathomir, which saw the Separatists attempting to neutralize the forces of Dathomir. Now, all of this centers around a very personal conflict involving Asajj Ventress, Count Dooku, and Mother Talzin, who was the leader of the Night Sisters at the time. This sort of web of personal connections would boil over into a fairly significant conflict between the two factions that would ultimately result in the destruction of one of them. Interestingly, though, one of the main events that led to the Battle of Dathomir would be the Battle of Sullust, where Asajj Ventress was betrayed by Count Dooku. If you'd like to learn more about how that battle played out and what that betrayal looked like, I'll leave a link up here to my battle analysis on the Battle of Sullust, so you can see sort of the more strategic view of how that engagement played out. And I want you to let me know down in the comments whether you think the Night Sisters ever really had a chance against the Separatist military. Do you think the Separatist military is just too massive for the Night Sisters to ever hope to hold them off, or do you think they could have used their magic and their skills with the Force to carry out very specific attacks that maybe neutralize Separatist leadership? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.